friends, my name's Adriana from EnglishTeacherAdriana.com. Today we'll be focusing on how to learn and remember English words. If you're an intermediate to an advanced English learner and you can understand about 50 to 80% of my video lessons, but you're struggling to remember and also learn new English words to improve your vocabulary, this lesson will help you. Friends, to better help you improve your English vocabulary, to learn new English words and to remember English words, I'll be breaking up this video lesson into two parts. First, we'll begin by looking at exactly how you should be learning English words. Then we'll progress to the second part of the lesson where I'll teach you how you can better remember those new words that you learn in English. As you already know from my previous lessons, it's very important to be immersing yourself in the English language. Now, for you to be able to learn new English words, it's also important to be immersing yourself in the English language on a regular basis. Now, why is immersion so important in order for you to learn English words? Friends, how are you going to hear new English words or identify new English words you need to improve your English speaking skills? The only way to be doing this is to be exposing yourself to the English language, and that is through immersion. Okay, so you understand that immersion is important and surrounding yourself with the English language is important, but still you're a little stuck. How exactly can you learn new English words? Friends, you need to begin by asking yourself, why are you learning English? Are you learning English to get a better job? Are you learning English to pass IELTS, to pass TOEFL? Are you learning English to be able to speak with other English speakers? Why exactly are you learning English? Clearly write down on a piece of paper why you're learning English so that you don't forget. Look, you're busy, I'm busy, everybody's busy, we forget things. Write down on a piece of paper exactly why you're learning English, and this will help you with the next steps. Fantastic! So you've clearly written down now on a piece of paper exactly why it is you are learning English. Now remember at the beginning of this lesson, I told you in order for you to learn new English words, you have to be immersed and surrounded by the English language. But friends, you don't want to make the common mistake I see many English learners make is by surrounding themselves with podcasts, movies, TV shows that are of no use to you. You won't be using those words, you won't need them in the future when you have to speak in English. The next step to learn new English words is to be surrounding yourself, immersing yourself in the English language based on why it is you are learning English. You want to be surrounding yourself, immersing yourself in the English language so that you can hear English speakers speaking using those words you need to learn to improve your English speaking skills. This way you will identify which words you need to learn and also learn them so that you can better communicate in English. But exactly how can you do this? Let's go through an example student. We're going to call this student Mary for privacy reasons, and Mary is learning English because she needs to improve her business speaking skills. She's working in a marketing company and she needs to improve her business communication skills. Now Mary's very focused, so she knows why she's learning English. She's learning English, she needs to speak at meetings, she needs to hold presentations, she needs email communication, she needs to improve her business English speaking skills. So what Mary's going to do is she's going to surround herself with people using business English topics, conversations, so that she can hear new English words being used. Some things Mary could do could be read books focusing on business topics. She could listen to podcasts in English focusing on business English topics. She could watch movies in English that are somewhat related to business. She could watch TV shows, TV series in English focusing on business topics. She could also find some YouTube videos here on YouTube focusing on business topics. Friends, understand that by Mary listening to podcasts, watching movies, TV shows, reading books in English, focusing on business English, she will hear new English words. She will hear new English words which she will have to learn to improve her communication skills. Remember friends, you want to be learning English words which are used. English speakers use today, not 30 years ago, not 40 years ago. You want to learn English words which English speakers are using today so that you can communicate with them effectively in English. By Mary immersing herself and surrounding herself with the English language, focusing on business English, she has now identified. She has found the words which she doesn't know, which she needs to know, which she needs to be able to use to speak in English and to improve her English speaking skills for business purposes. But how exactly can she learn those words she's identified through immersion, but also, most importantly, remember them when speaking in English? Friends, it's pretty simple. This is how simple it is. If you don't use your learnt knowledge, you will not remember it. Repetition is key. You have to repeat those words in your head. You have to be using them so that you can store them in your long-term memory and remember and use them when you have to speak in English in the future. To help you better remember those new English words, I suggest that you keep a vocabulary diary or notebook. But I want to tell you exactly how to structure this vocabulary diary, notebook, whatever you want to call it. Many English learners make the mistake of just writing down those new words and they hope that one day they will remember them. Friends, while immersing yourself in the English language, so listening, reading, writing, whatever you're doing to immerse yourself, you do need to be writing down those words on a piece of paper in your notebook. Go find a blank diary, notebook, whatever it is, find a blank book you can use to write down new English words you hear through immersion. Don't be downloading a list of vocabulary words related to business or any lists off the internet. No, what I want you to do is find a blank book and this will be your vocabulary learning notebook. In this notebook, you'll only write down new English words you hear through immersion which are relevant to you, which will help you achieve your why it is you are learning English. Let's go back to Mary and look at how exactly she will organize her notebook. Mary's got a new notebook, it's fresh, there's no words, it's blank, and she will start by dividing her notebook into different topics. As we know already, Mary's learning English for business. She wants to improve her ability to speak in English related to business topics, but there's a problem here. Business is a pretty wide category. There are different topics, different things you can talk about in business English. So what she's going to do is she's going to organize. She's going to organize her vocabulary learning notebook. Organize your notebook into different categories, into different mini topics you could possibly speak about in the future. For example, business English. This is a very broad topic. Mary will probably have to talk about management, about marketing, about finance, etc. So what she will do is she will divide her vocabulary learning notebook into different categories. One category will be business, one category will be marketing, another category will be finance, etc. Think about subtopics which relate to your why it is you are learning English, and write these subcategories down in your vocabulary learning notebook. So you've organized your notebook, now it's time to add in those new English words you've heard through immersion. Friends, you don't want to be randomly putting any word anywhere. Our brain likes structure, it likes associations, and this is why you should be organizing your notebook in this way. When you hear a new word through immersion, think about that word. Think about that word, how you could possibly use it in the future. Then and only then add it in your English learning notebook under that category that you think you will need to use it in the future. Friends, I've got to tell you something. Just by having a notebook and organizing it by topics and writing those new words down, unfortunately, this is not enough. You need to be doing a little bit more. What you need to be doing now is you need to be looking that word up in a dictionary. How will you know what that word means? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it an adverb? Look up that word in a monolingual dictionary. Don't be using a bilingual dictionary. If you can understand 50% of this video lesson, there's no excuses. Use a monolingual dictionary. Write down if that word's a noun, adverb, adjective, and write down the definition beside that word in your notebook. Fantastic! So you've got your notebook, you've got your topics, you've got your new English words in your notebook underneath the topics that relate to you. You also have the definitions beside that word, but this is not enough. You need to take it to the next level to help you remember those English words. Now, this is the most important part in order for you to better remember those new English words. Friends, you have to be using them. One way you can use these new English words is by making sentences. Make really simple sentences using these new English words you've heard through immersion. Now, how exactly can you make and construct English sentences? You need to be constructing really simple sentences with these new English words. One way you could be doing this is by using the 5 W's and the 1 H in the English language, those being who, what, when, where, why, and how. Let's go back to Mary and see what she can do with her new word she heard through immersion. The word Mary found was loan. So loan. She's never heard of this word before. What is she going to do with this word? First of all, she will write it down in her organized English learning notebook and she will put it under the category finance. It's there, she's got the definition. The definition of the word loan is a thing that is borrowed, especially an amount of money which has to be paid back. So she's written down the word, she's written down the definition, but now she'll be using the 5 W's and the H to be constructing simple sentences. The sentences Mary constructed are: what is a loan? Who has a loan? Where is a loan from? Why does she have a loan? When did she get a loan? And where did she take out the loan from? Notice here, friends, repetition is key. So she's repeating the word in few sentences in different contexts to help her better remember this word, also the use of the word in the future. But Mary could even take it to the next level up. What she could do is she could also answer these questions. For example, who has a loan? Jane has a loan. Why does she have a loan? Jane has a loan for a car. When did she get a loan? She got a loan last year. What is a loan? A loan is a sum of money borrowed. Where did she take out the loan? She took out the loan from a local bank. Friends, these sentences do not have to be real. I made up these sentences. The point of this exercise is to get your brain thinking about using this new English word in different situations so that you can better remember the use of this word in the future and most importantly, use it when speaking in English. By consistently repeating these steps on a daily basis, you will see your ability to learn and remember English words drastically improve. But it is important to be consistent. You can't try it for 1 day or for 2 days and then give up on the 3rd day. It does take time. There are other great things you could also do to take it to the next level. Other things you could do could be reading these sentences out loud, not in your head, out loud, and record your voice. This way, not only are you writing sentences down with these new English words, but you're also practicing saying them out loud. You could also write mini essays based on the topics you have in your English vocabulary learning journal and use those new English words you have written down. Finally, you could speak to people in English based on these topics and use those words. Find people with similar interests to you and make sure to be using those new English words you've learned in the real world. Use them when you are speaking, having conversations in English. Remember, friends, repetition is key. It's very important to remain consistent. When I say consistent, I don't mean do it for 1 week and then give up. No, it will take time, it will take motivation, and it will take dedication. But if you do follow these steps, you will be able to better learn new English words and most importantly, remember them when you have to speak in English in the future. Friends, I would love to hear from you. Join the discussion in the comments below this video and tell me, how are you learning new English words? But also, how are you remembering them? Remember friends, if you like this video lesson, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you get the next video lesson I post here on my YouTube channel. Thanks for being here, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the discussion below this video. Bye for now.